The Red Sox are going all in. They were huge buyers during the MLB trade deadline, and they're going all in, simply put. In this video, I'm not going to go into this lengthy intro. I'm just going to explain all the deals the Red Sox made during this trade deadline, just give my opinion, give my evaluation on it, and go from there. Additionally, too, I will also go over the Curtis Mead trade as well as another trade that completely flew under the radar, a very low-key move for the Red Sox, but I'll also talk about that. But overall, in this video, I'm going to go over 5 trades that the Red Sox have made. Mostly just talk about the ones that happened during this year's trade deadline. And I will start off with the Adley Rutschman trade. I'm not going to lie, I did not think that this was going to happen. I did not expect the Red Sox to be a name for Adley Rutschman, let alone I did not know if Adley Rutschman was a true trade piece during this year's trade deadline. But in this deal, the Red Sox acquired Adley Rutschman, Jake Rogers, basically just going to be a backup catcher for the Red Sox or even a third string catcher. And then in return, the Red Sox traded Kyson Witherspoon, Endy Azócar, Carlos Narvaez, Anthony Ianson, and a player to be named later. I'm not going to lie, this is a big haul to acquire Adley Rutschman. I like the risk that the Red Sox are willing to take on a guy like Rutschman. Obviously, we've seen the highs and the lows of Rutschman in his young-ish MLB career. I know he's 28 now, but he hasn't played in the MLB for that long. But yeah, at one point Adley Rutschman was considered to be the franchise player of the Orioles. Him and Gunnar Henderson were going to lead the Orioles to a World Series, and now here we are. Adley Rutschman is now the catcher for the Boston Red Sox. 2023 was his peak year. He was in MVP talks, like he had MVP votes, and then last year was a disaster, was injured a good amount, things like that. Turned into an all-star this season, has like a 1.8 WAR. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense for the Orioles to trade Adley Rutschman. Obviously, it seemed like the writing was on the wall last year when the Orioles signed Samuel Basallo to an extension, as well as when they signed Pete Alonso too. There wasn't really a place for Adley Rutschman really long-term for this team. On the flip side, for the Red Sox, when you really think about this team right now, their biggest need was catcher. Obviously, Carlos Narvaez, who was included in this deal, he hasn't had a great season so far. His play compared to last season completely fell off, and he became an unusable player. He's a great defensive catcher, but offensively, he has really struggled this season, so it makes no sense to keep this guy around. And I know Red Sox fans would be thinking, why not Connor Wong? Like, why can't we just cut bait with Connor Wong? Well, Connor Wong has actually been good this season. I wouldn't say good, but effective. He's a great bunter, great defensive catcher. He's very usable, and so that's why he's staying with this team right now. But when it comes to the offensive production for the Red Sox at the catcher position, it's non-existent. And acquiring a guy like Adley Rutschman, who's a switch hitter, he's had a proven track record of being a great offensive catcher. It's a rare commodity in Major League Baseball to have a great hitting catcher. When it comes to this deal, it's a risk, and obviously the Red Sox proved that because they gave up 2 of their best pitching prospects in Kyson Witherspoon and Ianson. When I heard what the package was to acquire Adley Rutschman, hearing both of those names be involved, I did not love that, I can't lie, but also at the same time, look at the Red Sox rotation now. Garrett Crochet, who's going to come back. They have Ranger Suarez, they have Sonny Gray for the time being, they have Jake Bennett, they have Pantoli. Those are 5 guys. And additionally, they have a bunch of other injured pitchers. There's a lot of things that the Red Sox can do for the time being. In the foreseeable future, they have a solidified at least 3 to 4 guys that will stay in that rotation for the foreseeable future. So it makes sense to cut bait with 2 of these guys, especially getting a guy like Adley Rutschman. Along with that, Adley Rutschman comes with control. This isn't a rental right now. He has at least another season and a half with the Red Sox, so it's a good sign for Boston right now. So hopefully, as long as Adley Rutschman stays healthy, as long as he's playing like the version of himself right now, I would love for the Red Sox to hopefully sign this guy to an extension, because if they end up signing him to an extension, then this trade would make me feel a lot more comfortable. But I'll leave it off like this. It's a huge risk. The Red Sox gave up a ton of prospects. But at the same time, the AL is wide open this year. And considering the play of the Red Sox, even after, snapping their 15-game win streak, they are still a hot team. They just swept the LA Dodgers. This team is a legit contender. And so acquiring a guy like Adley, again, switch hitter, he's a great defensive catcher too. So it's not like this team is taking a flyer on an injured catcher who they're relying on him for his bat. I really like the risk when it comes to this. If Adley Rutschman really works out, this offense from top to bottom, it's really legit. Imagine this team if they were completely healthy. Curtis Mead at second base, Adley Rutschman behind the plate. I know he's on the 10-day IL, so he'll be coming back eventually. And additionally, take into account the pitching side too. There's a lot of injuries. I forgot to mention Roman Anthony and Garrett Crochet. If you take all the injuries away from this team, and I know I'm playing into the hypotheticals and everything like that, but this team healthy is legit if you just look at it on paper. And so adding a guy like Adley Rutschman, he was the biggest name that was traded on the day of the deadline. So it's a huge risk, but it makes a lot of sense. His baseball savant page looks really great to me. So that's all that matters. Witherspoon and Ianson are going to be in that rotation for the Orioles. Makes a lot of sense for Baltimore in the long run to just make this trade in general, and it sets themselves up for the future. Obviously, this Orioles team has struggled with pitching, and they ended up getting 2 legit pitching prospects in this deal. I don't know about the other prospect involved, but I believe he is the 5th prospect. He's an outfielder. I don't really know much about him, but I definitely do know more about Ianson and Witherspoon. I'm a big fan of Witherspoon. But yeah, so it makes a lot of sense. They cut bait with a guy who the writing was on the wall for him to leave this team. They're going to be good for the foreseeable future. This sets up this Orioles team in the long run. It's a worthwhile trade for them, and in my opinion, I think the Orioles are the winners of this trade, but just in the fact that I don't know exactly if this deal is going to work out the way the Boston Red Sox want it to work out. As of right now, I like this trade for the Orioles a lot more than I do for the Boston Red Sox. So yeah, that's the first trade that that's the first trade that I have to mention when it comes to this deadline. The second trade that the Red Sox made during the actual deadline, and it was a very small trade. It was Eli White for Tyler Ulberstein. I believe Ulberstein played a little bit for the Red Sox out of the bullpen, but there's really not much about him in my opinion. I forget exactly. He had a cup of coffee with the Red Sox this year, but I really like the return getting a guy like Eli White. And I'm not going to sit here and just say anything crazy like Eli White is going to be this, that. He is just another bench piece for this Red Sox team. Obviously, a lot of people were expecting Jarren Duran to get traded. I wasn't part of that camp. This Eli White trade is going to put Jarren Duran more so on training wheels, if that makes sense. It just adds more versatile weapons to that bench. Biggest thing of note about Eli White is that he has a 99 percentile speed on Baseball Reference, so this dude is fast. And also, not to mention, he has like a 1.8 WAR as well, so he's not no slouch whatsoever, but this is a very usable 4th outfielder. I won't go into this too in depth, but basically, this is just another outfielder that they can rotate now with Jarren Duran. So now you have a 3-man outfield rotation of Duran, Jahmai Jones, and Eli White. So you can rotate each of these guys, use them in situational settings. Jarren Duran will still be the everyday left fielder for the Red Sox, but he won't be playing full games. At least I hope not. Along with that, they'll probably rotate Yoshida in there, so more so be a 4-person rotation. And so yeah, you add another right-handed bat. You add a guy with a lot of speed, so that will be very impactful in late game situations, especially in the playoffs. Having a guy like him pinch hit, it mitigates the load of Jarren Duran. It mitigates the at-bats Jarren Duran has to have. And it just adds another right-handed platoon bat that you can sub in and not have to rely on just Jahmai Jones out there to do the dirty work. So, and yeah, it just makes a lot of sense for the Red Sox to do this. I don't think Jarren Duran was worthy of being traded. Not saying that he isn't deserving to be traded. It makes a lot of sense for the Red Sox to cut bait with him. You'd be selling Jarren Duran short if you were to trade him. So it made no sense for the Red Sox to do that. And so all you have to do is basically just replace his at-bats, replace his time inside the baseball game with just an additional player. And Eli White will do that. Jahmai Jones will do that. And I will talk about Jahmai Jones because he is very impactful for this Red Sox team right now. And so, yeah, I really like that for this team, just adding more depth, adding more versatility. Can easily see Eli White making some impactful plays during the stretches of September and October. So makes a lot of sense. And the final trade that the Red Sox made on the day of the deadline was acquiring Eric Miller in exchange for Marcelo Meyer. The Red Sox also acquired an outfielder in exchange for this deal. I don't really know who he is, to be honest, but he's a part of the deal, Carlos Gutierrez or something like that. Pretty much Marcelo Meyer for Eric Miller. Can't lie, I was also shocked about this trade. I expected Marcelo Meyer to possibly get traded. I know that there was a notification during the last hour or so of the deadline where it was reported that Marcelo Meyer was open to be traded to, that the Red Sox were shopping him. Probably about 30 or 40 minutes later, he ended up getting traded to the Giants. The potential of Marcelo Meyer was something that I wish occurred with the Red Sox, but at the same time, I don't know if it's going to ever happen. So it makes sense for the Red Sox to trade Marcelo Meyer and acquire a very good left-handed reliever in Eric Miller. And again, simply put, it makes a lot of sense for the Red Sox to acquire a guy in Eric Miller. There's a lack of depth when it comes to left-handed relievers for the Red Sox. You got Moran, you got Chapman, but not really this other late inning left-handed bullpen piece that the Red Sox have. And Miller will step in. His strikeout metrics look really good. I'd assume he'll be kind of just like the seventh inning guy. Ideally, in very competitive situations, you'd probably go Eric Miller in the seventh inning. Eighth inning, you go Whitlock, and then you have Aroldis Chapman to close out, which I really like. You can also do Eric Miller being the setup guy too, but again, adds a lot of versatility. Eric Miller has been doing really great with the Giants this year. When it comes to Marcelo Meyer, this was definitely not the way I expected him to leave the Red Sox. Obviously, this season hasn't been good for him whatsoever, so I guess it makes sense for the Red Sox to trade Marcelo Meyer when he still has this potential and things like that. I did not expect him to go the way he did. I'm upset because I wish Marcelo Meyer worked out. Obviously, there was a lot of optimism and hope that the big three, that being Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, and Roman Anthony, would, carry this team. That was the expectations. And as of right now, there's only one person. Well, as of right now, actually, there isn't any of them playing right now, which is funny. But yeah, Marcelo Meyer leaving this team, it sucks. But also at the same time, there is no use for him whatsoever. Simply put, it seems like the Red Sox favor Franklin Arias to be the future shortstop for this team. And obviously, getting Curtis Mead too, he's going to play second base. There really isn't any space and there really isn't any leeway to try out Marcelo Meyer and to see him actually develop. And so they gave it a shot. It didn't work out this season in a full, year. But this year, it just hasn't worked whatsoever. He has a 500 OPS. His defense at his natural position at shortstop, it hasn't gone well. They don't want to wait. They can't give him these at-bats when this team is going to be a contender. So it makes a lot of sense to acquire a guy who they can win with rather than, wait and see if a 24-year-old can actually put up those expectations. And so it sucks. It definitely isn't the way I expected Marcelo Meyer to get traded. But also at the end of the day, the Red Sox have to contend. They have to make these difficult situations. And so I can still see a world in which Marcelo Meyer works out. This is a great trade for the Giants, I will admit. This also works out tremendously for Marcelo Meyer. He's from California. He doesn't have to worry about the pressures of playing in a competitive market like Boston. So he can kind of just go out to the West Coast, be in a familiar area where he is, not have to worry about playing to a certain level. He can just play his own game, not have to worry about the spotlight, and, just do his own thing. And so it works a lot for Marcelo Meyer. I think he's the true winner in this trade. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's going to be an interesting nugget, and it's funny how him and Devers are now on the same team again. We just got to see if he gets healthy. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day for him because he hasn't stayed healthy. And to wrap up this video, I'm going to talk about the Curtis Mead trade, and I'm also going to talk about the Jahmai Jones trade because I haven't been able to talk about that. I'll start off with Curtis Mead first. Curtis Mead, obviously, right now it's a tough situation considering he's not playing for the Red Sox right now. He's currently on the IL and he won't be back with the Red Sox until September. He has a broken wrist, so it sucks. Literally in the first game he played for the Red Sox, he broke his wrist. It sucks, but it is what it is. But the Red Sox acquired Curtis Mead in exchange for Conley Early And I know the reception of this trade at first wasn't great from Red Sox fans. And it makes sense. A lot of people don't know Curtis Mead. He's having his breakout season right now, and they're acquiring him for Conley Early, who was a fan favorite. Obviously, last year he started in the do or die game against the Yankees as a rookie, showcased a lot of potential, but this year has been pretty subpar in my opinion. But yeah, it's a 1-for-1 swap. It makes sense for both sides to make this type of deal. The Red Sox have a lot of pitching. They need hitting. So they get a guy like Curtis Mead who, when he plays for this team, he's going to be the second best bat in that lineup. All in all, he has been a very good bat this season for the Nationals. And the Nationals need pitching. Makes sense for them to swap both these guys. Curtis Mead, if you look at his Baseball Savant page, if you look at his spray chart specifically, it fares very well in Fenway. Once he gets onto the field for the Red Sox, he is going to hit a lot of home runs over the Green Monster. I will say that. But yeah, he adds a lot of defensive versatility. He isn't necessarily a great defensive, guy, but he can play third, he can play second base, he can play first base. The Red Sox have him playing second base as of right now, but having that defensive versatility, the Red Sox can do a lot with their lineup right now. They can do so many things. They can put a lot of players in different positions. If this team has to have an injury at any point, they can do a lot of things, and so I like that about Curtis Mead. He has an 850 OPS. He's playing the best baseball of his career right now. Another good thing about Curtis Mead, too, is that he has team control until 2031, which, of course, the Red Sox and Craig Breslow love. It's a great long-term trade for the Red Sox. Obviously, there's a lot of risk with this trade as well because Curtis Mead, this has been his breakout season. He hasn't done anything else throughout his MLB career. This dude was literally DFA'd by the Chicago White Sox, but he came into the league having a lot of potential, was involved in the Christopher Sanchez deal, was a top 30 prospect at one point. So he's had an interesting career up to this point. This is his fourth team right now. But yeah, if Curtis Mead continues to be playing the way he did, if he truly has it figured out, this is a dangerous piece to add to this Red Sox team when he actually plays on the field. This deal is very sour considering Mead got injured literally the first game he played. Sucks, but at least it's not a full-term rental. We're seeing Curtis Mead play for the Red Sox for years and years to come. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it sucks, obviously, giving up a guy like Conley Early. I said it again when I was talking about Iacin. The Red Sox have a plethora of pitching talent in their rotation and now in their bullpen, so it makes sense to cut bait with Early. And also, I don't necessarily believe that Early's potential is all the way up. This season, he's thrown a lot of balls. He hasn't pitched late into games because he doesn't have that strikeout punch right now. He has a great pitch mix, but there's not a significant pitch that makes hitters scared of him. That's what I see in my personal opinion. And so I don't know if his ceiling is going to be all there. Again, he's 24, so there's a lot of potential still there. There's a lot of potential for him to grow, and especially being out there in Washington now, he has that free range to do so. Curtis Mead is 25, so in reality, the Red Sox are trading two guys that are in the same age range, so it makes sense more for this Red Sox team to acquire a guy like Curtis Mead. This is just a need for both teams. Obviously, like I said before, the Red Sox need hitting. The Nationals need pitching, and so this is how this trade happened, and I think it's going to be a win-win scenario for both these teams. And yeah, we just gotta see what happens with the Red Sox when Curtis Mead is healthy, because when this team, I'll say it again, when this team is healthy, they're going to be so damn good. And the last small trade to end off this video I have to talk about is Jahmai Jones. Don't even have to talk about the player they traded for because it's a player to be named later. Couldn't tell you who the hell it is. That was the first move that the Red Sox made. They made it during the middle of July. And this trade has worked out tremendously for the Red Sox so far. Jones has been mostly a platoon bat in the outfield. He's been a part of that, rotation between Yoshida, Duran. As I mentioned before when I was talking about Eli White, when this trade initially happened, I immediately looked at his Baseball Savant page. And the thing that I noticed the most about Jahmai Jones is that, one, I'm pretty sure he doesn't take a lot of walks, or he takes a lot of walks. Like, he doesn't chase pitches. He's great at taking walks, but he's able to put the ball in the air and he's able to hit the ball hard. And as a platoon bat, it's worked so far for the Red Sox. In his first game starting for Boston, he hit a 2-run home run, and he's had a lot of significant extra base hits for this team. So just another knife in the drawer, another tool set that's been effective, especially going into August now, going into September. You need these bench guys to allow other players to sit, allow players to rest, allow players, or just when injuries come up, they can sub in, things like that. And so Jahmai Jones has been impactful, and considering he was a 400 OPS guy when the Red Sox first traded for him, seeing how he's turned out right now for them, it's worked out. And so it's pretty much been this Moneyball approach to where it hasn't necessarily worked out for this team, but the Red Sox are able to use this player in a critical situation, a specific situation, and it works out. And so we're seeing that in trades like the Jahmai Jones trade. And so that's why I'm very optimistic about guys like Eli White, guys like Curtis Mead, I guess, to a certain extent. But yeah, it just makes me very happy with how these trades have worked out so far for this team. And yeah, the Boston Red Sox now are truly contenders. They can be the favorites to win the American League this year. It's crazy. What a crazy turnaround it's been right now. That ends my video breaking down all the trades the Red Sox have made during the trade deadline, as well as other trades that they've made. And yeah, I'll just continue to give updates about the Red Sox going into August now, going into September. And yeah, that wraps up the video.